Hi, and welcome to this week's edition of the Sharing Club podcast.
Hi everyone.
I hope you're okay. This week, we're going to just be giving you a general update on where we're up to, how we're feeling. We've had lots of previous podcasts on mental health and chronic health issues and talked about how they've impacted us and our lives. And obviously, it's been a few weeks since we started, so we just thought it'd be good to share how we're feeling and if we've had any issues that we've been working through recently that, we're trying to balance.
Yeah. For myself, I've been doing pretty well until I'd say the last maybe 10 days. Seems to have reared its ugly head again, but that does happen in mental health, doesn't it? Like you find that everything's going okay, and then just one small thing triggers it back off again.
It's really so true, isn't it? I know the slightest thing will tip me over the edge at the moment. It's like I'm walking on eggshells with myself, and the slightest thing, and I will just go. I think it was last Wednesday or last Thursday? I can't remember which day, but I was literally, everything set me off, and the tears had come, and that would be it. Like, couldn't stop crying. And I didn't do any training last week because it was holidays and what class got cancelled, and then I got out of the routine and just refused to get out of bed at like 6:30 on Saturday morning because I'd missed that one, so that discipline disappeared, and that impacts it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's horrible when that happens, isn't it? Like for me, it's mainly to do with pain. So pain will trigger my mental health off, and I've been really struggling with pain at the minute. So I've had an appointment with neurology. So on the 9th of May, I've got a MRI scan on my head and neck and back. I'm having some nerve issues, so we just need to get to the bottom of that. But I think most of the time when your pain's controlled, you can kind of get on with things, but then at the moment the pain meds that I take aren't really cutting it, so it's having a bit of a negative impact on me.
Yeah, you really struggled last week, didn't you?
Yeah,
Like,
really bad.
and we had talk group last Wednesday, and I think that was,
Yeah, I think for the first half an hour of the group I was not so bad, and then I just went on a bit of a downward
yeah, we
spiral.
sort of let everybody chat around us a little bit, didn't it? I mean, you just, I don't know how we got onto this reminiscing, but we were thinking about school and so, and I think it was probably better for you at that point. We zoned out of it a little bit and just had a
Yeah.
conversation that,
Yeah, it's funny because it wasn't as if like the ladies around us, they weren't saying anything wrong, or they were just having their own little chats, but I was just finding it really difficult. I just didn't want to be there.
couldn't concentrate.
No, I just wanted to be in bed.
But we'd also been planning things beforehand, so we'd been out for quite a while by that point as well. And I guess when you're in pain, it's draining, and that has an impact.
Yeah, and I think as well, like there was a few other things that had happened, like personal things at home, and I think they maybe have triggered it as well.
Playing on your mind.
Yeah, like unresolved stuff. And it's nothing, it's just teenagers. It's just teenagers. They say stuff sometimes and it can have an impact on you. And they don't mean any harm, I don't think.
And they don't realise what they're saying.
No. But sometimes when you're not in that headspace, you can, you start ruminating everything and it's just hard. But feeling better mentally at the moment, just not physically.
You see, physically, I'm not too bad. I mean, I've got some ongoing like concerns health-wise, and they're being looked into. But that isn't for me. I think it is definitely at the moment it's mental health related more than anything. And I never know from one day to the next whether the struggle's going to be real, how I'm going to feel when I wake up. And at the moment, like today, I just didn't want to eat. It was just effort to cook and to eat. It was like,
It's not the best, is it?
no. But yesterday in its own way was a good day. We'd done
Yeah.
a last podcast. We met our friend Lisa. We'd had a coffee and a cake that we shouldn't have eaten because that's no put weight on if I'm not training. Cake makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't a particularly bad day, but you just have days where you struggle, don't you?
Yeah, it's really hard. I think as well, like you touched on it a minute ago, we were talking a bit about the past, and I think sometimes, don't get me wrong, everybody should, talk about the past, especially if they've got past issues and stuff. It's good. But when you're feeling down, maybe if something's really bothered you, it might not be the right time. You've got to be mentally strong to deal with, bringing those subjects back up again. And I think, I don't know, that probably might have not helped either.
Going down a rabbit hole.
Sorry,
is
laughing at my dog.
It was very sudden, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Something said caught her eye. Yeah, I think if you have to be careful when you're going to go down the rabbit hole that is your past, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
when we were in the coffee shop, we were talking about, fortunately, it was fun stuff like the old Whitefield bus station and the brand
Oh, yeah.
centre. Nothing, obviously, stuff like that's never going to trigger anything, but it's when you get into more personal issues, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we've been speaking about, I mean, I'll touch on it now because there'll be people out there who probably have been through similar. And, you know, I'm feeling better mentally this week, so it's absolutely fine. But we were just talking about like bullying from being young, and I did experience, well, I received letters and death threats and phone calls and things like that. So we were just talking about that, weren't we?
Yeah, you had a really, really hard time back in high
Yeah.
school, and you left the school we went to and
Yeah.
started a new one. One minute my friend in art class was there, and the next minute she deserted me.
And I literally got up one day and just went, right, I've had enough. Went to the office and never went back. That's exactly what happened.
It was like I come in one day expecting to see Nat sat at the desk, and she was just gone.
Yeah, strange. But it had been going on for a while, and I think it just reached its peak, and I just had enough.
Well, there's always that last straw, isn't it? The straw that breaks the camel's back, and I
Mm.
think it had happened, and the attitude of the head teacher didn't help.
Well,
'Cause
no,
he was an
because
idiot.
yeah, well, he also, I remember being sat in the office, and he actually said, like, maybe you know, if she's got problems with bullying and stuff. Well, no, he tried to say bullying didn't happen in the school, but we knew it did because the police had already been to the school to see letters that had been written. But he was a bit like, well, you're saying it's a group of people involved and then you, so maybe it's easier if you go.
Oh, what a disgusting attitude. I remember it wasn't me. Our friend that came to the talk group the other week.
Oh, yes.
So I don't know if she had something stolen out of the locker,
Oh,
or there was an
really?
issue with the locker. I can't remember. She put a bag in it, and he turned around to her parents and said, "Well, she shouldn't be keeping her stuff in the locker."
Her locker.
Yeah, she
Okay.
shouldn't keep her stuff in her locker,
That makes lots of sense.
doesn't it? So, like, my dad's very good at opening his mouth and kicking off. So my dad wrote a really sarcastic letter back on their behalf. Basically said, "I always thought lockers were for actually keeping items in. I wasn't aware they were just for storing fresh air and being absolutely useless."
It's just
And
pathetic,
he went a bit like he was a headmaster.
which he was.
Well, he left, didn't he,
Yeah,
after
useless.
that? But yeah.
But yeah. But then obviously around that time as well, I also developed an eating disorder. So it was a really, really tough time. And I think as well, I was like 13. So you're going through puberty. There's a lot of other things coming into play. So yeah, it wasn't a great time. But there'll be lots of people that have experienced similar, won't they?
Yeah, and possibly,
And
unfortunately,
still experiencing.
and
now.
far worse.
Yeah.
And you think it was bad then, but at least you were able to go home and
Yeah.
have the safety of you were out the environment, and it ended. Whereas kids today, there's social media, they've got phones, it follows them, doesn't it, home? And I think I couldn't imagine.
I couldn't imagine. I don't think, I mean, knowing how I felt back then, it was bad enough getting landline. We got a couple of landline calls off men.
Ugh.
Off men. So I don't know who the men were into relation to the people, but it was on behalf of them, like saying when I went to school the next day, I was going to get run over by a bus and things like that. I had quite a number of those calls. But that was just on my landline. At the end of the day, it's a landline. I can go in my bedroom, I can get away. But if I'd had a mobile or social media and I was being targeted on there, I just don't know how I would have coped. I really don't.
It's, yeah.
You know, as an adult now, I'd find it tough. But as a child, that's another story, isn't it?
Well, I think an adult would find it tough even now, because it's next level. It's not just bullying. It's like a hate campaign.
Yeah, it's torturous.
And no one, like, if an adult had those kind of letters sent to them, they'd be going to the police as well.
Yeah.
So I don't
No.
think it'd be any easier.
But I do think, like looking back, that did impact my mental health, because I think prior to all that, I was quite a happy. You know, I don't remember ever. Because I mean, you get kids, don't you, who can display certain signs of mental health problems, anxiety, stuff like that, when they're a lot younger, and the parents are aware of it. But I think for me, I mean, I was a very quiet child. I was very quiet, but I think that was like the start of my mental health journey, 100%.
See, I was like, at school, I wasn't too bad. I've always been shy, always been quiet. And there's definitely probably people in the school that I wouldn't have felt comfortable being around or talking. Not because I was bullied. I was very fortunate I wasn't bullied, but there was definitely girls I wouldn't have wanted to mix with, I'd have felt intimidated by
Yeah.
them or uncomfortable around them.
Mm.
But for me, mental health, I think it came a lot later. Things that happen over the years, different things, and deaths and
Yeah.
guilt associated with things that have gone on, things you've wished you'd said and regretted, and or little comments that you made that you look back and think, well, why did I say it? Well, you had it was a genuine reason for saying it, but then you think, well, if that's how it was the last time we saw them, you just, things play
Yeah.
on your mind, and then other things come along, relationships end and things go wrong, work, sometimes issues at work, lots of things pile in, don't they? And
Yeah.
it all triggers it.
Partners, wrong partners, they can have a big impact.
Yeah, I mean, I moved abroad for somebody. We'd been together a long time, and it was through lockdown. And it wasn't just him, because I had friends that lived in this country. So it wasn't 100% him. It was probably a 60-40 split, 60 in his favour. But it went massively wrong. He turned out to be a complete and utter, I'm not going to say it.
Bleep.
Yeah, self-edits, just in case there are any kids watching. But you get the impression, you get what I mean. And I moved my life, and fortunately I had friends out there, but it was a very expensive country. It was a struggle, and it took everything I had financially, and I'm coming back and I'm having to start again, and it isn't easy.
No,
It's really, really difficult. And
that is difficult.
yeah, and it impacts your mental health every day. That's starting again from scratch. You're back on your own, lacking money, work out there is difficult. There's, times that cost of living makes everything very hard,
Yeah.
and it gets to you quite
I
easily.
think as well, like, you kind of, when you're young, you have your life mapped out, don't you, in your head? You're like, by this age I'm going to be this, and by this age I'm going to be that, and then it doesn't happen that way.
Really doesn't happen that way.
Because you don't know what's going to happen in your future. I mean, for me, my health has been the major impact for me. That's like destroyed. I don't want to say destroyed, because we've still got time ahead of us yet. But it did destroy like my future goals and plans. It did, because obviously I had to give work up. I was nowhere. I am nowhere now where I thought I would be at this age.
Well, yeah, I get that. I'm definitely not where I thought I would be at this age.
But then just trying to be thankful for everything that we have got, and
Yeah.
we've got each other as well. We've got friendship,
Friendship,
which is an
family.
important thing. Family.
And that's not to say it's been a bad life either. I've done some amazing things.
No.
Like, I mean, 20, well, I flew out when I was 19, but I became a holiday rep for Thompson. How many people get to
Yeah,
say
that's
they've
good.
done that and spend 3 years working in hotels in the sun and getting your accommodation and your food provided before you, and get to make a fool of yourself on stage? Stuff when I was at school, because I was so shy, I never in a million years thought I would do it. And so there's some amazing things when I look back.
Yeah.
But you
It's
can't
just
control your mental health and how you feel.
no. And choices that you make throughout your life as well, like that sliding doors moment, if I'd have done this, if I'd have done that. But
That one, and that is my sliding door, is when I talk about my friend that I lost back in 2000. I wish, like, New Year's Eve, there was things I could have said or done that might have been different. Like, I didn't do anything bad, just things I wish I'd said, and it might have altered it. Between just lots of little things that you look back and you think, why didn't I say that? Why didn't I say how I felt? Or why didn't we do this? And he was gone 4 months later.
you just don't know, do you? You don't know
You
what's
don't know
around the
what's,
corner.
no, you have to, and it's hard. And when you suffer with mental health and you don't want to get up in the morning, and it's a struggle. But then you think to yourself, well, you have to get up and you should try it, because you don't know what's around the corner. Your life could be cut short. You don't know what's going to happen. You should make the most of it. But that's easier said than done.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I let somebody in my life years ago, not going to name him, but I was warned. I was warned by many people who knew him like previously about his character. But I got completely love bombed. And I absolutely idolized this person. I actually thought he was amazing. He we had so many of the same interests, but now actually I question whether we did, because I was completely love bombed. So he knew what I was into, he knew what I liked, and part of me thinks, was it all structured? Do you know, like, I'll
Manipulated.
pretend that I like that. I'll send her this song because I know she loves this song, and I'll buy her he got me like a, well, I say buy. he turned out to be a thief as well. So anyway, he got me like a vintage ring at the time because I was very into vintage and I liked like vintage fairs. So we went to lots of vintage fairs. We went to watch all like old films like Breakfast at Tiffany's, which is my favourite film with Audrey
I
Hepburn.
love that.
You know, we did all that kind of stuff. And then we used to have really, really in-depth chats about spirituality and stuff like that. And I found him very, very interesting. He was a very, very clever young man. But with that, he was also a psychopath.
Not a good combination.
No, and you know, a lot of people saw through him, but unfortunately I didn't. And then, you know, a while later everything came to a head and he did violently attack me. And it did go to court and he did get away with it. So
Did he not get sent down?
no, he didn't get sent down because at the time I was suffering with a lot of seizures, which I still do. And I'd gone to, I'm not going to go into the full story, but I'd gone to hospital and I didn't want my parents were very, very, very against him anyway. And I'd been with him that night and I'd lied about where I was.
Oh,
Even though I was a grown woman, but because I didn't want the stress of them going, oh, what you with him for and all that, I lied. And then he like really brutally attacked me and I ended up in hospital. So the first thing I could think of was I've had an epileptic fit. Well, that was my downfall. Because once you've said that, they knew I was lying at the hospital. They're not stupid. The injuries, I mean, I had hand marks around my neck, you know, but my ear was out here because he literally he bashed my head against the floor and wall, like the corner of the thing. That many times my ear was out here and I thought I was going to be deaf. I actually thought it was going to kill me. But yeah, he got away with it. And then it was quite a while after he was under probation anyway for previous offences, and he was laughing and joking with somebody else on probation at his probation. You know, they check in every week or whatever they do.
yeah.
And he was laughing and joking, and he was overheard. Obviously, he's not going to get sent down then. The trial's been and gone. But in a way, when they told me, because they rang me and told me the police, and it validated in a way because they make you feel as if you've done something wrong, you know, in court.
Yeah.
They make you feel like you've done something wrong and you're the victim. And I definitely was a victim of him and his behaviour. But yeah, laughing about it, they got away with it.
That's disgusting.
But I believe he got sent down not long after, but I don't know what for.
Is he still inside, you know?
I have no idea. But did think I saw him locally a few months back. But he looked like he was sorry for laughing, he looked like he was in disguise. He did. I was like,
Quite possibly, maybe he's been given a bit like a restriction, an order
looked
where you
very,
can't
very
go around. You know, a banning order where you can't go into certain places.
well, I'm pretty sure it was him. And then as I kind of walked past, I wanted to check again. And as I looked, he was on a laptop in Costa Coffee and he kind of like went down, and that kind of made me think it definitely was him.
Well, listen, the best thing you can say is he did try to hide from you.
Well, yeah, because I was worried that, I mean, it was a long time ago now. It was, I have to think, it was 2000, it was the same year that my mum got diagnosed with terminal cancer. So it was 2015. And it was literally 2 weeks prior to my mum's diagnosis. So it was a really tough time. Really, really tough time. Because he was my go-to person as well. You know, and then
But he played on your vulnerability.
Oh, yeah,
He learned all about
yeah.
you. He knew your weak spots. He knew how to get you. And then
yeah,
he uses that. They're very clever, aren't they?
yeah. And even though I had lots of friends, but because he was my go-to person when my mum's diagnosis came, and he was no longer, well, obviously I was not allowed to see him. I didn't want to see him, and he
Yeah.
wasn't allowed near me at the time. It was really, really difficult because prior to that, it would have been him that I would have gone to, you know, discuss these things like and say how upset I felt and like what was I going to do, and then he was gone. So then you get it's a weird one actually, because then you go through all the process of, oh, maybe it was my fault. Do you know what I mean? And you've heard women say it.
Question yourself because they make you feel like
Yeah.
they're doing it because you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
It's your fault I've hit you. It's your fault I'm
Yeah.
saying this.
Yeah.
And it's not true. That's how they wear you down. It's gaslighting.
Yeah, 100% gaslighting, manipulation. But I know,
There's too
you know, it
many
happens to a lot of people, doesn't it? Not
Yeah.
just women either, men as well.
Absolutely, there's too many manipulative people out there. And maybe that's, you know, going back to our previous podcast and all the sessions and talk groups we offer, maybe something to do with domestic violence is one we should look into, because that there's so many people out there who need support.
Yeah. And I think the aftermath of it, if you know, lucky enough to get out of it, and you know, have the courage, and it is so hard. It is so hard. I mean, I was lucky. I often think this, if that hadn't have happened the way it happened and as brutal as it had happened, I think I would have stayed around a lot longer, because he had done other stuff prior, nothing to that degree, you know, just a push, a bit of, because he pushed me once in Manchester and I fell on the floor, and it was a bit like, oh my God, you know, it was a proper shove. But then you think, it's only a shove, and then it's only a slap, and then
It's
it's
hard,
only
isn't it?
a drink over. Do you know what I
I'd
mean? It's
like,
all
yeah,
degrading,
I'd
and
like to think I'd be quite strong. I'm quite independent.
I never thought anyone would ever do that to me.
I'd like to think I would run, and I think I probably did once. And I met a guy. We only went on a couple of dates, and after a couple of dates, he was like, "Oh, you're going to move in with me?" And like, I'm worried. I think I'm going to put my mum in a care home. She was only in her early 60s. I was like, "Are you for real? She's not even old." And he was like, I'd gone out with a friend, and my dad was in hospital with cellulitis, and I'd been to the hospital, and I always met my friend on a Thursday evening for a coffee. We always went and had a drink. That was our thing. And he rang me up and he went, "Where are you? I'm out. I'll speak to you later." And I rang him back later and he went, "Why are you out? You should have been on the phone talking to me." He lived in like Yorkshire. And I was like, "I'm not." I was at the hospital and I was going to see my friend. I go every week and I'm not changing it. "I don't think you're committed to this relationship." Like, what relationship? We've been on 2 dates. And if you're going to be like this now, I dread to think what you'd be like if we get any closer. And I thought I was very fortunate. I could see the signs,
Yeah,
and I
that's
just,
alarm bells, isn't it?
yeah,
That?
I literally ran a mile. But it's frightening, isn't it, after 2 dates, that somebody thinks that they can be that controlling. And
It's funny actually, because the person that I was taught in the early days, if I was with friends, my best friend Lara, we'd gone round to this other girl's house. She was trying some dresses on and she wanted our opinion. And he was absolutely livid that I was going somewhere without him. And he made me, and I actually did it at the time, which now I'm like, oh my God, Natalie, what the hell? He made me take pictures of the people in the house and the clock on the wall to see if it fit in with the time that I was sending the message. And then he accused me and said that in the mirror he could see a man, and it was Lara. I'm like, "That's Lara, and you know Lara." And he's like, "That's not Lara, that's a man." Arguing with me, saying there was a man at this girl's house when there wasn't. And then I'm going, "Oh, how can I prove that there's not?" And Lara's like, "Just ignore him." Just ignore him. And I'm like, "No, because it's going to cause trouble." Do you know what I mean? It's like, what on earth? God, now, after that and that experience, now if anybody, well, obviously I'm married now and Nick's not like that at all. But if, you know, I'd say to anyone, just get rid, because these are all warning signs. I mean, that was
absolutely.
what, oh, it's
Someone
somebody
said,
else. Do you know when you're just a bit like, what's that?
it keeps happening, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
like
It's not
strange
kids singing,
noises.
or
It just seemed ultra loud, but then I remember I put the window on the latch, that's why it's loud. Yeah, so yeah, anyway, any warning bells, just get rid.
Yeah.
Get rid early on so you don't have to go down that path.
because it's just another trigger for
It is.
mental health issues, isn't it? And there's enough battles to fight without putting yourself in the position of abuse.
Yeah. I think we definitely need to do one on domestic abuse and violence.
Yeah. So it's a bit deflating, really.
I know. Sorry, guys.
No, but this is what it's about, isn't it? It's like we've both been struggling recently, and all these things play a part in where we're at now and why we're like we are. And sometimes it's good to just talk. And I'd like to think us talking and saying why we have these issues and how we're feeling now, you know, it's about that lived in experience, isn't it? We want to support people and help people, and the best support comes from people who've been through it themselves.
Yeah. Because we might be saying things and you might be saying, oh my God, that's me. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
So
if we've said something that resonates,
yeah,
and you think, yeah, I get it, I understand it. These girls know what I'm going through because they've been through it themselves. If that means you're more inclined to come to a talk group or to book some life coaching through us or whatever help you need to get in touch with us, then, you know, I'll sit here all day talking about my issues. And for me to do that isn't easy because I don't like talking. I bottle things up. And in fact, I've got a cousin and I'm very, very close to him. We grew up together. and there's only 6 months between us, and he's like my brother more than a cousin. He lives in Australia now. Just rude, deserting me like that. I'm joking. He's very happy over there, and I speak to him still. But he always says, "You have your walls built so high. I'm surprised you lower them enough long enough to brush your teeth." It's literally. He genuinely has said that to me in the past, like, you know, don't talk, put barriers up, make it hard to get close to people, or for people to get close to me. I don't say anything.
Yeah.
Very few people, and I'm good at hiding it when I need to be as well.
Oh yeah, I am.
Like, I can put that smile on and I can chat, and if I don't want people to know I'm in a bad place, people won't know.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I'm good at putting a front on. I'm good at hiding how I feel 100%. Like,
yeah. Oh, I can do it
Yeah.
all the time.
it's like I'm not shy. Shy's not the right word, but lack confidence.
A bit introverted.
Yeah, but the amount of people when I've told them and I've gone, oh, I'm a bit shy. Well, it's not shy again, is it? I lack confidence. I get very nervous. I'm anxious. They go, you? And I'm like, yeah. And they go, well, you don't seem like you are. I'm probably one of the most anxious people you'll ever meet, but you wouldn't. But I'm good at putting a front on because I've had to.
Yeah, I do that. You hide it. Some people can see right through it. Like my cousin in Australia, he can see right through it most of the time. He knows. John, my trainer, who was a guest speaker on this podcast the other week, he's got to know me very well. He can see right through me. He knows when I need to kick up my arse.
Yeah.
And he'll tell me to get back on class or whatever, or to work harder, or to do something, or he'll try and flip it round. He'll go, what's got, and sometimes I can't, he'll say, what's wrong? And I'm like, I don't even know why I'm in that place, but he knows.
Yeah.
And he'll just talk and he'll say, well, flip it round, or look at it this way. And he's very good at picking it up. Even across a video screen, if it's on Zoom, you can pick it up normally.
Yeah. Nick can tell with me. I'm my dad.
I don't know how he's managed to see through me so well. It's quite scary.
He knows you really well.
I know.
Yeah. So.
But very few people other than them.
Yeah.
So it is hard. If you're putting up a front or a barrier, we get it.
Yeah. Let us know in the comments if you spend your day to day putting a barrier up. Some people do it every single day of their life.
Yeah, I do on the whole.
Yeah.
Try to, pretend.
Like wearing a mask, isn't it?
Yeah, pretend I'm okay when I'm not. Get on with it.
I do it with Lara. Lara messages me and she's like, how are you doing, Nat? And I go, yeah, I'm all right. And she goes, what's wrong?
Some people just know, don't they?
And I'm like, how did you know? And she goes, just know. Just know.
Some people just can instantly spot it.
But you don't always want to talk about it either, do you?
No.
So you've got to be in the right frame of mind, in the right mood to discuss it.
Yeah, but we'd love to hear, how you deal with it. Do you put up a barrier? Do you hide it? Wear a mask? Are you one of those people who will wear their heart on a sleeve and tell everybody everything when
You're
they're
like an
feeling down?
oversharer.
Yeah,
I've done that.
I've got friends that are like that.
I've done it when I'm in one of my really anxious moods and you're in company that you're not 100% comfortable with, and you end up going, whoa. Then after you think, I've really overshared there. I've told them like my backstory.
No, I mean, I've got a friend, it's someone we went to school with, if I speak to, everything will just come out.
Yeah.
All the time. If she, if she's not in a good place, she tells everything. And it's, to be fair, it's probably the best way to, I think you should be careful who you're talking to.
You have to be careful.
But it's the better way to get it out of your system and to talk about it and bottling it up, because bottling up's no good. Eventually you get to a point where the cork pops and it all comes out, and not necessarily in a good way, and you end up really ill.
Yeah, you've got to try and balance your emotions, but you do have to be careful, like with oversharing. I've done it in the past when I've told people who have been not friends, acquaintances, stuff, and then they use it against you when they decide they're not your friend anymore, or they move on with their life or whatever. Now with me, I've been told stuff by people who I'm not friends with anymore, but I would never ever ever share what they've told me, because at the time they told me
It's
in confidence and in trust. So that stays. I would never break that, even though our lives have moved on and they might have done some pretty shitty things, but I still wouldn't.
Way back, I used to have a friend, a girl, growing up with. She lived on the same street as another friend next door to her, and then she went to different schools as well, complete different schools. But we became friends in the like early noughties, and she became a good friend, and we were really close. And she was great. Like if she was your friend, she'd do anything for you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was on her terms. It was on the day she'd want to go out, or you'd be working around her. So she was quite selfish. But if someone threatened you, if you were upset, or someone had upset you, she'd be all there ready to kick off.
Yeah.
But then, and so you trust her and you tell her stuff. But then when you do something that she didn't like, so I spent a few months in London and she didn't like that because I left Manchester. I was the worst person in the world. She was threatening, like literally, she flipped. It was like threatening me, and I was horrendous, and I didn't give a shit about her, and I was throwing our friendship away, and it was like,
Wow.
yeah. I was like, just because I'm moving to another city doesn't mean
that you can't still be friends.
Correct. It doesn't mean I don't want to be friends with you. It just means I feel stuck in a rut and I need to try something new. And part of that is move to a different city, meet different people. But you can come and stay with me weekends. I can come home some weekends.
Yeah.
But no, and we've not spoken since.
Oh, sad.
And she dragged another friend into it that she met through me. And because
That's
of
the
it,
worst when they do that.
fell out with this. I don't speak to this other girl.
That happened to me with somebody I know, like the other girl that I met through her, I was very, very fond of. But then when we fell out, which was the right thing to do because it was like pretty terrible, some of the comments. And I just thought, it was due to past experience. I was like, I'm not standing for it. No, you're gone. No second chances. You're gone. I don't want anything to do with you. Whereas in the past, I probably would have gone, oh, should we have a chat? Let's try and sort it out. And some of the things that were said. In fact, I'm just going to say, because it's actually horrendous. So my mum had just been diagnosed with a terminal illness, and she'd gone online because she was, I don't even know what she was. She must have been angry with me in some way. I don't know what I'd done at the time. And she was putting things like emojis on and stuff, and then going, let's get all the violins out. And then I was like, but it was after I'd shared some on there, because everyone was asking about my mum's update on her scans, and I'd put on what it was, and it literally, the minute I'd posted it, 5 minutes after, it was, let's all get the violins out. And then the other girl was commenting on it going, yeah, she's attention seeking.
Ugh.
And then I said to her, is that about me? And then she was a bit like, well, you think it is? And I was like, are you for real? And she's like, some people might say, well, why did you put it on Facebook? But that was because my mum was getting inundated with calls and she was absolutely shattered. And all family and friends were on there asking and asking and asking, how's your mum's scan? So it was a generic
update.
Yeah, and it was not even, it was just kind of like, mum's scans at the moment have stayed the same. We've been at the Christie all day. Mum's really, really tired. Please, can she speak to you all in a few days? It was that kind of vibe, not anything. And it's like, let's go get the violins out. And I was just like, right, you're not a friend. That's not a friend. No. Like, right, you're gone. That's a secret hater.
Friends like that, who needs enemies?
Yeah. So you just have to choose your friends very carefully.
But I think what this shows is, isn't it, like all these things have an impact.
Yeah.
And the little things, and at the time you just get on with it and you move on to the next, and you're not in your life and you don't really think about it. But it's when you look back and you're having to think, why am I feeling like this now? Why were you suddenly so down? And all these things have played a part in creating the person you are and the issues that you're going through mentally with your health.
Yeah.
And you don't realise it.
There's like lows and lows, isn't there, when you break it all down?
Yeah, they all chip away at you and eat away at you a little bit and take a part of you, and suddenly, you're fighting with yourself.
Yeah.
Your lack of self-esteem, self-worth. Is it worth getting up for during the day? What's my life about?
Yeah.
It's an existence. You're not really, and it's how to battle on, isn't it? Get through it.
I think for me, I'm not going to go into this now, but it is something I would be interested in talking about in the future, is like baby loss as well, and infertility. I think that can have a massive role in women's mental health.
Yeah, I know so many, got a lot of friends who've miscarried, lost babies, late stage as well.
Yeah.
But given birth full term, stillborn.
Yeah.
Really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Also, plays a massive, massive role, doesn't it, and impacts on.
Yeah, I think.
Grief that you're carrying.
Yeah, especially when there's because for me it was still quite early on and the choice was taken out of my control, and obviously up until that point I didn't even think I could have children, so it was like this miracle of these twins, but because you've not given birth, I'm not saying for a minute that it makes it any worse or anything like, because obviously people have stillborn babies, they've carried full term. It must be the most horrendous thing. But you get a lot of comments like, well, it was only quite early. It was only, you get that it was only, and even like family, like nobody, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this, but I was with my dad, and my dad was obviously very concerned about my health anyway at the time, because I was so poorly. And after what had happened at the hospital and things had been took out of my control, we bumped into a lady that we knew, and she just turned around and said, Natalie, you look absolutely terrible. You look so pale. You look ill. And my dad went, oh, she just had a termination.
Ooh.
But she's all right. And I just stood there. There was no backstory. There was no, she obviously didn't know what had gone on and the
You should have
reasons.
said it was out of under medical advice.
But it was the whole, she's all right and it's fine. And then afterwards I said, why on earth did she say that? And it's not fine and it's not all right. And he was like, well, you could have lost your life. So that's more, yeah, but it's not fine. And this is the problem that I've had with friends and, well, not friends so much, family have been, since it happened, they've been so dismissive of my feelings towards that. Even Nick, and you know, people have said it's because he's a man, but I just think
You were his babies too.
exactly, but I think because he's got his children, and I love my stepchildren to bits, but this was my chance at being a bio mum. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's all very much like, oh, well, at least you've got your stepkids. Well, you've got your stepkids, so it don't really matter.
What a
These are,
stupid
I have
thing to
had
say.
so many comments as regards to this, and it's almost like nobody, like it's almost like we didn't exist. Do you know what I mean? It never happened. It never happened.
It's invalidating your feelings.
Yeah, and it still tortures me to this day.
That's diabolical. But and it's not just with that, it's like as well if you lose an elderly relative, a grandparent, and you go, oh well, they lived a good life.
Oh yeah,
They lived to a good age. Oh, so that makes it okay. But you shouldn't be grieving because they've lived to a good
you
age.
do get that a lot. I've heard lots of people say that.
Really winds me up.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how old they are. At the end of the day, if somebody's lost a relative, regardless of age, it's a loss.
You're still grieving them. They're still your family. You still love them.
Yeah.
It's I think grief is a massive, any kind of grief when it comes to mental health. You know, a lot of people don't always get the support they need when they're in like bereavement counselling, or I think well, I know quite a few people that have struggled with loss and then not being able to open up to someone about the feelings. It's really, really difficult.
Yeah, and maybe that's again another thing we can go into more depth on at some point.
Yeah.
I think
So on that lovely note,
we should wrap this podcast up. Obviously, we would love you to be involved. We'd like to hear all your comments. Like we said, does this resonate? Can you relate to what we've said? If you'd like, we'd love it if you want to share your experience as well. If you feel, you know, listening to our reasons why we struggle, if that's helped you, and you want to hear more, and you feel like this is something, you know, a road you want us to continue going down with updates every now and again, then please get in touch in all the usual ways. You can email us at info@thesharingclub.org, head over to the website, which is www.thesharingclub.org, or you can DM us on any of our social media platforms. Till next time.
Yeah, goodbye, and we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, take care.
Bye.
Bye.